She earned $1,800 a month to clean his east wing, mop the halls, scrub the bathrooms, carry laundry up 3 flights of stairs. That was the job, but every night, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m., she sat beside his mother's bed and sang Yoruba lullabies to a Korean woman who hadn't known her own son in 2 years. Seo Daejin found out by accident. 2:11 a.m. He opened the security archive to check a gate log. A missing delivery, something small. And there, in infrared green, was the maid's shape, sitting in a plastic chair, holding his mother's hand like it belonged to her. He rewound. Night before, same thing. Night before that, same thing. By dawn, he'd watched 42 nights. He sat in the dark of his office with the laptop light turning his face green-white. The coffee on his desk had gone cold 3 hours ago. A skin had formed on the surface. He didn't touch it. 42 nights. The timestamps flipped in the corner of his screen. 3:14, 3:15. In every frame, across every night. Nkechi Adeyemi's hand never moved from his mother's fingers. She worked a full shift starting at 7 a.m. every morning. On her feet for 10 hours. Then she slept 2 hours, sometimes less, and walked back into that room at 3 a.m. for 6 straight weeks. Nobody told her to. Nobody asked. Nobody knew. The nurse's notes from those 6 weeks had a single line repeated over and over: patient calmer at night, new medication appears effective. The head nurse wrote a report praising the drug change. There was no drug change. It was a woman in a plastic chair, singing in Yoruba, in the dark. Seo opened the medical logs on his second monitor. His jaw moved side to side, but his mouth stayed shut. He read the same line 3 times. Closed the log, opened the footage again. Night 17. His mother's hand lifted from the blanket, slow, shaking, fingers bent with age, and touched Nkechi's cheek. His mother hadn't touched his face in 2 years. Every morning for those 2 years, Seo stood outside his mother's door for 4 seconds. Not 3, not 5, 4. He'd straighten his cufflinks in the hallway mirror at 6:59, wipe dust off his suit sleeve, dust that wasn't there, inhale once, enter at exactly 7 a.m. And every morning, his mother smiled at him the way you smile at someone holding the elevator. Pleasant. Empty. The nurses called it good days when she smiled. They called it hard days when she didn't. She called him the tall man. 730 visits. Not once did she say his name. And now, on his laptop at 4 a.m., he was watching a stranger hold the hand of a woman who couldn't hold his. He closed the laptop. The room went black. He sat in it 11 minutes. Then he opened the laptop again. By 5:30 a.m., the sun crept into his office, through the blinds, thin gold lines across the desk, across his hands, across the cold coffee he still hadn't touched. One thought, clean and sharp like a nail through wood. Tonight. 3 a.m. He'd go himself. That night. 2:47 a.m. Seo walked the east wing in dress shoes. Each step hit the tile like a knuckle tapping glass. The compound was dead. Just the hum of machines and the low buzz of hallway lights and the sound of his own breathing. Head nurse Park met him at the door. 53 years old, 9 years with the family. Her clipboard pressed tight against her chest. Her knuckles were white on the edges of it. Sir. Her voice was careful. Low. Practiced. She's the Nigerian cleaner. She shouldn't be in the patient wing at night. She paused. Her eyes shifted left, toward the nurses, then back. And your mother doesn't even understand her language. Behind her, the 2 night nurses at the charting station had stopped writing. One held her pen an inch above the page. The ink was making a tiny dot on the paper where it hovered. The other nurse looked at her own hands. The security guard at the end of the corridor turned his whole body toward the wall. The hallway went still. Only the heart monitor beeped behind the closed door. Steady. Slow. Like a clock counting something nobody wanted to count. Seo didn't argue. He looked at Nurse Park. Not through her. At her. The way a closed door looks at a hand trying the knob. Open the door. Now. He walked past her. His shoulder didn't touch hers, but she moved anyway. Half a step back. The clipboard dropped an inch. The singing stopped mid-note. Nkechi's mouth stayed open for half a second, then closed. Her eyes found his in the dark. She didn't stand. She didn't pull her hand away. She couldn't. His mother's fingers were gripping hers, tight, the knuckles standing up under thin skin. The kind of grip that holds nothing else. The room smelled like clean sheets and faint sweetness. The lotion the night nurse rubbed on his mother's hands at 10 p.m. Coconut, something floral underneath. Seoul stood in the doorway. The hall light cut across the floor behind him. His shadow stretched all the way to the foot of the bed and bent where it met the blanket. 5 seconds. Nobody moved. Then he asked one question. Quiet, not angry, not cold. How long? Nkechi's voice came back steady. Tired, but steady. First week, she cried. First night. She looked down at his mother's hand in hers. The walls aren't thick. I heard her from the service hallway. She was scared. You can hear it in the kind of crying. It wasn't pain, it was fear. Like a child who woke up and forgot where she is. Seoul didn't move. Why you? He said. The monitor beeped 4 times before she spoke. My grandmother. In Lagos. Her thumb moved across the old woman's knuckles. Slow, back and forth. The skin shifted under her touch, like tissue paper. She had the same thing. The forgetting. I sat with her every night for 2 years. Same hours. 3 to 5. She stopped. Swallowed once. She died in my arms on a Tuesday morning. She said it flat. No tears. No shake in her voice. The way you say something that's already used up everything it had. Seoul didn't offer words. He didn't say sorry. He pulled the second chair from the corner. Metal legs scraped the floor. Cold when he gripped the back of it. He set it down on the other side of the bed. Sat. The mattress shifted under the weight. The shift pulled the blanket. The blanket pulled Nkechi's arm. Her hand slid 3 inches closer to his side of the bed. Neither of them looked at her hand. Both of them felt it. Nkechi looked at him across the bed. She read his face. You want to pay me extra, she said. Not a question. Seoul's mouth opened, then closed. Don't pay me to be human, Nkechi said. The monitor beeped. His mother's chest rose. Fell. The blanket settled. If you want to sit here at 3 a.m., Nkechi said, you sit quiet. No orders, no questions about what I sing. No telling the nurses to change anything. She leaned forward, just an inch. But the inch mattered. This room, this hour, is hers, not yours. She said it the way you close a book you're done reading. Final. Seo Dae-jin ran a criminal empire across 4 districts of Seoul. Shipping routes, construction contracts, men who carried guns under tailored jackets. He had not taken an order from another person since he was 19 years old. He nodded once. Okay. He sat, said nothing. The quiet stretched. 1 minute. 5, 10. The room held 3 breathing people, and no one performing anything. Then Nkechi started humming. Not the full song, just the melody. Low and slow. The notes came out of her chest more than her mouth. She hummed the way water moves over rocks, finding the path, not forcing it. His mother's hand, still wrapped around Nkechi's fingers, loosened, not letting go, easing, the way a fist uncurls when the dream shifts. And then, 3:41 a.m. on a Wednesday, his mother's other hand lifted from the blanket, shaking, slow. It reached up and touched Nkechi's cheek. The old woman's palm was dry and cool. Her fingers rested against Nkechi's skin. Her thumb didn't move, it just stayed, holding the warmth of another face. Seo's hand went to his mouth, pressed hard. His knuckles turned white against his lips. He'd seen this on the footage. Night 17, the same gesture, the same reaching hand. But a screen is not a room. A pixel is not skin. 2 feet away, his mother was touching someone's face, and it wasn't his. I saw everything, he said. His voice broke on the last word like a stick stepped on in silence. The footage, all 42 nights. Nkechi looked at him. She didn't flinch. She didn't beg. She didn't ask if she was fired. I know, she said. You know? The red light on the camera blinks when someone opens the archive. It blinked all night. She'd known he was watching. She came anyway. The monitor beeped 3 times into the silence that followed. Seo sat with that fact the way you sit with a stone in your shoe on a long walk, aware of it with every step, unable to do anything about it. Seo pulled the envelope from his jacket, set it on the edge of the bed. The paper was thick, cream-colored, the kind of envelope that holds more money than most people see in a month. "It's not about payment," he said. "It's about what you've done deserves." I said no. He stopped. Nkechi was quiet for a moment. She looked at the old woman's face. Peaceful, smooth. The lines around her mouth relaxed in a way they never were during the day. "Some nights, I'm not even here for her," Nkechi said. Seo waited. "Some nights, I'm saving my grandmother, doing it right this time." Her voice dropped, not quieter, deeper, coming from a different room inside her, staying until morning instead of falling asleep in the chair and waking up to find her gone. The word gone landed in the room and didn't leave. It sat in the corner with the shadows and the hum of the machine and the slow breathing of the woman between them. Seo picked up the envelope, put it back in his pocket. He didn't say another word about money. Not that night, not ever. He came back the next night, 3 a.m., same chair, same silence. And the next, and the next. By the second week, the staff noticed, the boss of the compound, the man whose name made grown men look at their shoes, was walking the East Wing at 3 a.m. in a tailored suit and sitting in a plastic chair in the dark. They watched through the observation window. 2 nurses, a night guard. Their breath fogged the glass. Seo came out of the room at 5:15 one morning. 3 staff members stood in the hall trying to look busy. One held a clipboard upside down. One stared at a blank phone screen. One was reading a fire safety poster she'd walked past 1,000 times. "Leave them," he said, not to anyone, to everyone. He walked past them. His shoulder brushed the wall. His shoes clicked away down the corridor. The sound got smaller and smaller until it was just the hum of the lights again. The staff looked at each other. Nobody spoke. They went back to their stations. 3 weeks in, a Tuesday. The mother's breathing slowed with the singing. Her left hand squeezed Nkechi's fingers once, twice. The monitors stayed calm. The numbers stayed steady. Then her eyes opened. Not the foggy, wandering eyes Seo knew from his 7 a.m. visits. Not the eyes that looked through him like he was a window with nothing behind it. These eyes tracked, moved from Nkechi's face to Seo's, back to Nkechi's, then back to Seo. 5 seconds, maybe 6. Clear, present, here. "Your friend is here," his mother said. Her voice was thin but sharp, like a radio catching a signal through noise. For 5 seconds, she was completely, fully her. Then the clarity drained. Her eyes drifted. Her hand went slack. She was somewhere else again. Seo couldn't breathe. His chest locked. His fingers gripped the metal armrests until the veins in his hands stood up like wires under skin. She'd said, friend, not son, not Daejin, not his name. Friend. Connected to him only through Nkechi. Visible only because Nkechi was in the room. He looked at the ceiling. Blinked hard. Swallowed. The 4 seconds at the door. The cufflinks. The perfect timing. His 7 a.m. visits were a costume. A pressed suit and a straight spine, and a 4-second pause to build the mask before walking in. He showed up at 7 a.m. performing Sun. Nkechi showed up at 3 a.m. in a gray sweatshirt. No mask, no audience, just a body in a dark room because someone was afraid, and his mother reached for her. The tissue. That was the detail the nurses noticed first. His mother held a folded tissue in her right hand at all times, had for months. When one got damp from her palm, a nurse would replace it. Fresh tissue, folded square. And the old woman would grip it right away, every time. Like grabbing a railing on a shaking train. Nobody understood why. Nkechi did. She thinks it's a hand, she said one night at 4 a.m. She watched the old woman's sleeping fingers curl around the tissue. When no one's here, she holds it because her body remembers what her mind forgot. Seo looked at the tissue, small, white, crumpled in his mother's fist, the knuckles standing up, the tendons pulled tight, holding on to a square of paper like it was the last solid thing in a world that kept dissolving. His throat closed. He turned his face toward the window. The glass was black. He could see his own reflection. Behind it, nothing. The next morning, 10 a.m., 3 doctors sat across from Seoul. Dr. Lim, the neurologist, placed a tablet on the table. Brain scans glowed on the screen, gray and white shapes that looked like weather maps of a country Seoul couldn't find. "The night episodes are getting worse," Dr. Lim said. His voice was smooth, practiced. The voice of a man used to delivering bad news in expensive rooms. "We'd like to increase the sedatives. A mild dose at 9 p.m. Another at midnight if needed. This will reduce the crying, the agitation." Seoul looked at the scans. He understood none of them. He understood power. He understood fear. He did not understand the pictures of his mother's brain being eaten by something he couldn't fight or threaten or buy off. "Nkechi," he said. Every doctor looked up. She was standing near the door. She'd been told to wait outside. She'd walked in anyway. The door was still swinging shut behind her. The rubber seal hissed against the frame. "No more," Nkechi said. Dr. Lim turned in his chair. It squeaked on the tile. "I'm sorry, who?" "She cries because she's afraid, not because she needs to sleep." Nkechi took one step toward the table. Her shoes, flat, black, the shoes of someone who stands 10 hours a day, made no sound. "She wakes at 2:30 most nights. The room is dark. The TV is on, but the sound is off. Just light moving on the ceiling. No one is there. She doesn't know where she is, so she cries." "With all due respect," Dr. Lim started. His hand moved toward his tablet like it was a shield. Lights low. No TV. No restraints. Someone holding her hand at 3:10 a.m. and singing until the fear passes. Nkechi's voice was flat. Not angry, not pleading. Just the way you say a thing that is true and doesn't need your feelings to hold it up. That's the treatment. That's what works. Dr. Lim looked at Seoul. Seoul looked at Nkechi. Nkechi looked at the wall behind the doctors, past their heads, past their degrees in black frames, past their charts and their scans, and their careful, practiced voices. She was looking at something they couldn't put on a screen. "No more sedatives," Seoul said. Dr. Lim's pen stopped. He glanced at the other 2 doctors. One cleared her throat. The sound was loud in the quiet room. The other didn't move. His hand stayed flat on the table like he was waiting for the ground to shake. "We'll try it," Seoul said. Her way. 90 nights. They fell into a pattern nobody planned. Seoul arrived at 2:55. Nkechi at 3:05. His mother woke at 3:10 like something inside her was keeping time that nothing else could keep. The singing started. The hand-holding started. Seoul sat on the other side and watched. Some nights the old woman squeezed both their hands at once, left and right, Nkechi and Seoul. And for a moment, the 3 of them were a circle, closed, complete. The current running through all of them like a wire strung between 2 poles, with a light bulb in the middle. Some nights she hummed along. Not words, just sound. The melody living in a room inside her that the disease hadn't found yet, couldn't find. The door to that room was hidden behind something older than memory. Some nights Seoul fell asleep in the metal chair and woke with a thin hospital blanket over his legs. He never saw her put it there. She never said she did. "Can you teach me?" Seoul said one night. 3:20, 2 a.m. His voice barely louder than a breath. Nkechi looked at him across the bed. "The song," he said. "The lullaby. Can you teach me the words?" She studied his face. The blue light caught the edges of him, the jaw, the cheekbone, the line of his nose. Whatever she found in that face passed a test she didn't name. She nodded. "Bami sun, omu mi." She whispered it. "Sleep with me, my child." Seoul repeated it. The sounds came out wrong. Flat where they should have rolled, sharp where they should have been soft. His tongue fought the Yoruba sounds the way a hand fights a glove that doesn't fit. He tried again. Closer. His voice cracked on the 3rd word. He stopped. Nkechi didn't comfort him, didn't say good try, didn't smile. "Don't perform," she said. "Just be here." He nodded, sat back, folded his hands in his lap. He was here. And for weeks, It was enough. Being here was enough. Showing up in the dark with no suit of armor, no script, no performance, just a body in a chair on the other side of his mother's bed, was enough. But the body forgets. That's what the disease does. It walks through a life like someone turning off lights in a house, room by room, hallway by hallway, until the whole building is dark. It started small. Some nights the old woman didn't squeeze. Her hand would stay in Nikeshi's palm, warm, alive, but the fingers didn't close. The reflex was leaving. Then the humming stopped. She used to hum along, little broken pieces of the melody. Gone. Then, 3:47 a.m. on a Thursday, the hallway lights hummed their low electric hum. The blue light from the monitor bled under the door and made a thin, bright line on the dark floor. The air smelled like rubbing alcohol and warm cotton, the heated blanket the night nurse tucked around the old woman's feet at midnight. And Nkechi sang the first lullaby. Her voice was steady, clear. The notes filled the small room and pressed against the walls. Then the second lullaby, slower, softer, a song about rain. Then a third she hadn't sung in weeks, an older one, her grandmother's favorite, the one about a river that carries children to sleep. The old woman's face didn't change, eyes open, looking at the ceiling, not seeing it, not seeing the room, not seeing Nkechi's face 2 feet away, not seeing anything, no squeeze, no hum, no softness around the mouth that usually meant the fear was passing. Nothing. Nkechi sang the river song again, start to finish, every word right, every note placed where her grandmother used to place it, in the back room of their house in Lagos, the room that smelled like palm oil and old wood, and the kerosene lamp her grandmother kept burning all night because she, too, was afraid of the dark. Nothing. Nkechi pressed the old woman's hand to her cheek. The palm was dry, cool, no warmth coming back. She held it there. 15 seconds. 20. Waiting for the fingers to curl, for the thumb to move, for anything. She put the hand down on the blanket. Gentle. The way you set down a glass you know is cracked. Then she stood up. The plastic chair scraped back. She walked out of the room. The hallway was too bright. White light from above, white walls on both sides, white tile floor, no shadows, nowhere to put yourself where the light couldn't reach you. She walked 6 steps past the door, turned, put her back against the wall, slid down until she was sitting on the cold tile. She didn't cry. Her eyes were open. But they weren't seeing the hallway or the lights, or the green fire exit sign at the end of the corridor. She was somewhere else, somewhere behind her own face, the kind of empty that happens when a body has been running on something other than sleep, and that something finally runs out. Seo found her at 5:14 a.m. He'd been in his office. Couldn't sleep. Came early. Turned the corner of the east wing and saw her on the floor. The hallway stretched behind her, white and long and empty. She looked like a stone someone had set down and walked away from. He didn't ask what happened. He looked at the cracked door of his mother's room, looked back at Nkechi. The line between what he saw and what he understood was short. He walked to where she sat. He lowered himself onto the tile beside her, his back pressed against the same wall, his knees bent the same way. The tile was cold through his suit pants. He could feel the grout lines through the fabric. His jacket touched the hospital floor. He didn't pull it up, didn't adjust it, didn't think about it. They sat. 1 minute, 3, 7, the fluorescent light buzzed above them. A pipe somewhere in the wall ticked, metal expanding with heat. The corridor smelled like bleach and the faint sweetness of floor wax. At 11 minutes, Seo placed his hand on the tile between them. Palm up, open, not reaching for her, just there. Nkechi looked at his hand. The fingers were long, the knuckles rough. Not a desk man's hands, not entirely. A thin scar ran across his middle finger. Old, white, a line with a story she didn't know. Her hand moved before she decided. Her fingers closed around his, tight, not gentle. The grip of someone holding on to a railing in a high wind. He didn't give an order, didn't tell her it would be okay, didn't promise the singing would work again. He stayed. At 6:40 a.m., after the nurses changed shift and the morning light turned the hallway from fluorescent white to pale gold, he walked her to his office. The hallway had too many eyes. He closed the door. The lock clicked. Quiet and final. She sat on the edge of his desk chair. Her feet didn't reach all the way to the floor. She was shorter than he'd realized. The chair was too big for her. Her shoulders fell. Not a little. All the way. Like a wire had been holding them up, and someone cut it. "I haven't slept in 4 days," she said. Her voice was different. Smaller. Not the voice that told doctors to stop the drugs. Not the voice that set rules for a crime boss in his own mother's room. A voice from a locked room inside herself that nobody had the key to. Seo took off his suit jacket, folded it once, laid it over her shoulders. It smelled like cedar and something sharp, cologne that came in a heavy glass bottle, the kind with no label. She didn't shrug it off. She pulled it tighter. The collar came up around her jaw. She turned her face into the fabric and closed her eyes. She slept 40 minutes in that chair. He sat across from her. Didn't move once. Not to check his phone. Not to pour water. Not to shift his weight in the chair. He sat with her the way she'd been sitting with his mother for months. Just a body in a room with another body, saying nothing, leaving nothing. 2 days later, Sung-ho found Seo in the East Wing corridor at 3:20 a.m. Sung-ho was his most trusted man. 41, thick neck. A clean record only because the records had been cleaned. He'd been with Seo since the beginning, since before the compound, before the money, before the name meant what it meant now. He stood 3 feet away, hands behind his back, chin down. The way he stood when he was about to say something that would make the room colder. "Boss." His voice was low, flat, careful. "People are talking." A black maid in the family wing at 3 a.m. He paused. His jaw worked side to side like he was chewing the next sentence before letting it out. "They think you've lost control." 2 guards at the end of the corridor went still. One lifted his phone and stared at a screen he wasn't reading. The compound's house manager froze mid-step on the staircase behind them. 1 foot up, 1 foot down, hand on the railing, body caught between one floor and the next. Seo adjusted his left cuff. Slow, 1 fold. Then the other. The ritual took 8 seconds. He didn't look up. "Let them talk," he said. "Keep the hallway clear." He turned and walked into his mother's room. The door closed behind him with a soft click. The lock didn't turn. It didn't need to. Sung-ho watched the door for 3 seconds. Then he dropped his eyes to the floor. He turned to the guards and the house manager, all of them frozen in their positions like a picture someone hadn't finished painting. 1 sentence. "You heard him." The hallway emptied. Footsteps scattered. The house manager took the step she'd been holding. The guards pocketed their phones and walked to their posts. Within 30 seconds, the corridor was empty, except for the hum of the lights and the faint sound of singing behind a closed door. 2 weeks later, 2:30 a.m., Seo was already in the room. He'd come early. He was doing that more now, arriving at 2:30 or 2:15, sitting alone in the dark before Nikeshi got there, sitting with his mother, not performing, just being in the room, breathing the same air, listening to the monitor count her heartbeats. And Nkechi arrived at 3:05. She sat, she sang. The old woman's breathing slowed. Her left hand found Nikechi's. Her right hand found Seo's. The 3 of them connected. A circuit closed. Then the old woman's eyes opened. Not foggy, not empty, sharp. Awake, clear in a way that made the room feel suddenly smaller and brighter, as if someone had opened a curtain in a house that had been shuttered for years. She looked at Nikechi first, really looked. Her eyes moved over Nkeshi's face the way you look at a photograph you've been searching for. Then she looked at Seo, and her eyes, those clear, present, here for only a moment eyes, saw him. Not the tall man, him, her son, the boy she'd raised, the man he'd become. Then she looked at their hands, both resting on the blanket near hers, close to each other, almost touching. Her voice came out thin and dry, but every word was glass. "Don't leave my son alone." 7 people. Seo, Nkechi, his mother. Nurse Park in the doorway, her pen stopped in the air above a chart she'd never finish. 2 night nurses behind her, one pressing both hands over her mouth, the other standing with her shoulders near her ears, not breathing, not blinking. And Sung-ho, at the edge of the doorframe, eyes on the floor, The monitor beeped, and beeped, and beeped, 5 seconds. Nobody breathed. The room was so still, you could hear the fluorescent light in the hallway buzzing through the half-open door. You could hear the old woman's breath, thin, shallow, the breath of someone who came back from very far away and can't stay long. She was looking at Nkechi, and her eyes were saying what her mouth had already said. Seo reached across the bed. His hand found Nkechi's. His mother's hand was already on both of theirs. 3 hands, 3 different colors on a white blanket. "Will you stay?" he said. Nkechi looked at his hand, at his mother's hand on top, at his face. "Yes," she said. "I was never leaving." The old woman's eyes held for 1 more second. 2. Then the clarity slipped away like water through fingers you can't close fast enough. Her eyes drifted. Her hand went slack. The sharp, bright window in her mind fogged over and sealed shut. She was gone again, but her hand stayed on theirs. And in the doorway, Nurse Park lowered her pen to the clipboard, pressed her lips together, walked away. She didn't say a word. The 2 nurses wiped their eyes on their sleeves, went back to the station. One of them wrote in the chart, "Patient alert and verbal at 2:47 a.m. Spoke clearly. Duration, approximately 30 seconds. 30 seconds. That's all the disease gave back. She died on a spring morning, a Tuesday. 6:12 a.m. Both of them were holding her hands. The singing had stopped an hour before. Her breathing had changed. That slow, wide-spaced breathing that nurses know by sound and families know by the feeling in their chest. The gaps between breaths got longer. The room got quieter. The monitor beeped slower. At 6:11, Nkechi sang one last line. Not the lullaby, not any of the 42 songs she'd sung across all those nights. Something else. A Yoruba hymn her grandmother used to sing at funerals in Lagos. The words meant, "The road is open." She sang it once. Low, steady, and on the last note, the monitor went flat. The sound was thin, a single high tone. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a line where there used to be hills. Seo didn't move. He held his mother's hand for 11 minutes after she was gone. His thumb moved across her knuckles the way Nkechi's used to. Back and forth, as if the motion itself could keep something alive that the body had already let go of. His other hand held Nkechi's. The blanket between them was still warm. At the funeral, 300 people came. Men in black suits, who ran businesses without business cards. Women wearing white chrysanthemums in their hair. Government men with clean faces and dirty hands. Compound staff. Drivers who'd never met the old woman but knew what she meant. The vigil lasted 3 days. On the second night, Nkechi stood beside the portrait table. The photograph showed a younger version of the woman. Bright eyes, sharp jaw, a smile that looked like it had just finished laughing. Flowers surrounded the frame. White candles burned low. The wax ran down in thin rivers and pooled on the white cloth. Nkechi sang the Yoruba lullaby. A room full of Koreans in black listened to a Nigerian woman sing a song none of them understood. The melody rose and fell. It moved through the room the way heat moves through water. Slow, everywhere, impossible to stop. Not one person looked away. Not one they didn't need the words. They never had. The room was stripped, sheets gone, blankets folded and sent to laundry. Monitor unplugged and wheeled into storage. The chair, Nkechi's chair, pushed back against the wall. The plastic seat still had a slight dip where her weight had pressed it down night after night for months. The mattress was bare, white, flat, empty in a way that made the room feel twice its size. Nkechi placed 2 folded cleaning cloths on the mattress, perfect squares, side by side, the same cloths she carried in her uniform pocket every shift. Clean cotton, folded twice. She set them down exactly where the old woman's hands used to rest. Seo stood beside her. He placed his hand on the mattress next to the cloths, close enough to feel the heat of the fabric. He didn't touch them. The room smelled like disinfectant and white lilies. The vase on the windowsill, nobody could remember who put it there. It wasn't on any order sheet. No nurse claimed it. No staff member bought it. The flowers just appeared, white and open and pointing toward the light. They stood like that for a long time. 2 people in an empty room. The afternoon light moved across the mattress by inches. The shadows of the window frame shifted. Outside, a bird called once and stopped. There was nowhere left to put the song, so they put it down here, on a bare mattress, in a quiet room, between two folded cloths that smelled like clean cotton and the hands of a woman who was gone. And the room held it. The way a room holds sound after the last note fades, not in the walls, not in the air, but in the shape of the silence that comes after.